They say there's two types of men in this world. One who plays so fast that the devil can't approach him. Or there's a man that plays so slow that the devil can catch up. Well, on my way home from the casino today, I stopped off at my local video store and I rented Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Well, I hope you packed your bag and are ready for a wild ride, because today, we're in search of the American dream. My attorney has given me the advice that I should probably not have taken that acid before I started the show. Buy the ticket and take the ride. So before we make our detour through backcountry, let's jump right on into Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Our story begins in the Mojave Desert. We see Dr. Gonzo and Raul Duke speeding on their way to Las Vegas. Duke seems to be having some issues while being hot on mescaline, as the giant swarm of bats has caught his attention. They take a look and tell the audience exactly what they have for inventory regarding their heavy drug stash. Along the way, they pick up a hitchhiker during the drive. Duke decides it's best to share their mission with the young hitchhiker. You see, Duke has been hired to cover the Mint 400 motorcycle race in Las Vegas for a magazine. It is decided by the two that they must obtain a large amount of drugs and rent a red Chevrolet Impala. While being told the story, the hitchhiker must have become a bit uncomfortable and decides to flee the vehicle and take his chances elsewhere. Taking the wheel again, Duke is given a hit of some sunshine acid and given specific instructions to drive at speed as quickly as you can before the drugs kick in. When the two arrive in Las Vegas and make it to the hotel, Duke is deep within the acid trip and can barely contain himself. Dr. Gonzo is able to get them checked in while Duke is out of his mind on acid. This trip continues into the hotel room where Duke just has to ride it out, man. It's a beautiful morning in Las Vegas and Duke is seeking strong drink before the race begins. It is figured out that due to the dust, there is no way he can cover this bike race, and then proceeds to fire his photographer. He makes his way back to the hotel and they consume more mescaline. Later on, they begin huffing the devil's drug, ether. They descend on the Bazooka Circus. During the dialogue, they describe this place as what Americans would do weekly if the Nazis had won World War II. The self-described Sixth Reich. The two of them wander the hotel blasted out of their minds. They end up back at their hotel room and Dr. Gonzo is wasted. Duke heads downstairs for some gambling. He returns back to the room to find Gonzo in the bathtub. It is revealed that Gonzo has taken almost all of the sunshine acid. Gonzo wants Duke to throw the tape player into the bathwater right when White Rabbit has peaked. Duke obliges, and not throwing the tape player, he ends up throwing a grapefruit at Dr. Gonzo's head and ends up locking him in the bathroom to make sure he comes down off that acid. This leaves Duke some time to think back on the days in the 1960s. As he wanders through his mind back on the hippie culture and one particular incident where he had dropped a vial of LSD on his sleeve. This allows a random hippie to lick the spilled LSD off his arm, while some random dude walks in on him in the bathroom. Talk about a weird situation. Duke wakes up the next morning knowing that the bill was coming for all the debauchery they had been up to while staying in this room. Dr. Gonzo was nowhere to be found, as he apparently had fled back to Los Angeles for business. It's up to the Duke to sneak out of the hotel without paying. He barely escapes but is given a telegram from the front desk. Knowing he needs to get the hell out of Dodge, Duke gets back on the highway and heads back to Los Angeles. Now, while on the road, he is pulled over by a highway patrolman. While having it out with a police officer, he is told to take some time off the road and sleep at the next rest stop. Knowing that he got lucky, Duke finds a payphone and calls Dr. Gonzo. While at first being fully upset at Dr. Gonzo, he finds out that Gonzo had already booked him a suite at the Flamingo in Las Vegas, as the Duke has a new assignment as he is going to be covering the District Attorney's Convention on narcotics. He heads back to Las Vegas and is able to check into the hotel. Upon arrival, he is met by a young girl, Lucy, who attacks his leg. it is revealed real quick that Dr. Gonzo had met Lucy on the plane ride into Las Vegas. The Duke is scared as this underage girl might just do them in for good. It is decided that they have to get rid of her at once. Gonzo and the Duke attend this convention and decide it's a great time to snort some cocaine. The convention is your normal anti-pot rhetoric for the 1970s. These two have had enough and head back to the room. This is where Lucy calls and Gonzo is forced to do some quick thinking to make sure that Lucy thinks they were picked up by the cops. Poor Duke is just trying to calm down in the meantime and decides this is the right time to take some adrenochrome. Before he blacks out, Gonzo tells him that he's in for one wild ride. We come back to the Duke still in the same room, but now the room has been fully trashed, and Duke is left to put the pieces back together on what the hell just happened. While listening back to his tape recorder, we are shown a scene where Dr. Gonzo straight up harasses a waitress at a local diner. They attack a cleaning lady and can convince her that they are police officers. Now, this leads to Gonzo being dropped off at the airport by Duke as they barely make the plane. The Duke, in the final moments of the film, finished his article and again sets his sights on getting the hell out of Las Vegas once and for all. Viva Las Vegas! I think like a lot of people my age, we all became enthralled with Hunter S Thompson after seeing this film. I remember in high school being flabbergasted that my library pretty much had its entire collection of books. It really opened my eyes to the world of politics and what effects drugs could have on an individual. I remember the day vividly hearing about when he committed suicide. The end of an era for sure. Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro are so good in this movie. Plus, there's so many fun cameos in this film. Not sure how many of you go back and rewatch this movie from time to time, but I would hope that after watching this episode of Video Rental Chaos, you're definitely gonna go back and give this one a rewatch tonight. So, until the next time I see you at the video store, please tell me about the fucking golf shoes!